Today we are going to look at, yes, the first one. You guys should have done this. You should know about this because last time I gave you and the YouTube link talking about dependent and independent clause. So this is prerequisite to our lessons today, and would like to talk about conjunctions. Yeah, we are going to cover this first, and then after that, in the second part, we are going to talk about conjunction, coordinating, as well as subordination and coordination conjunctions. Okay, now before that, I would like you to know that these are a combination of certain things. For example, okay, words. What does it mean by words? Words are these are examples of words. Firstly, Abu, Ali, Abu, is, chair, sky, pretty, humongous. They are all words. There are so many words here in English language. And then we combine words together, is going to make up a phrase. Yeah, combine words together without a subject, without a proper sentence. Yeah, it's not a proper sentence without a noun as well as a verb. Is going to be a phrase. For example, a beautiful lady, or my school, the sick dog. These are examples of phrases. And then combining phrases together. Sorry, it's not combining phrases together. If you were to have a noun as well as a verb together, is going to make up a clause. Yeah, for example, Amina, we must have a noun. So you guys have covered what does it mean by a noun, what does it mean by verb, what does it mean by pronouns. So if we were to have a noun plus a verb, we have covered what does it mean by verb. Okay, any action that you could do, and sometimes that is a non-action verb. For example, smelling, thinking, those are non-action verb. But generally, verbs are the things that we could do. Yeah, we have one noun over here, and then one verb is going to make up a clause. Amina, kid is one example. The news was leaked is another example of clause. Mother cook. Yeah, the third example of a clause. So you combine phrases together with uh, with a noun as well as a verb. You must have a noun, you must have a verb. Is going to make up a clause. And then you could combine phrases together with some clause, and it's going to make up a sentence, a full sentence. For example, Amina kicked something. Kick what? Amina kick a ball. So your clause, if you were to put an object over here, is going to become a sentence, a full sentence, a proper sentence. The news was leaked yesterday. So you put an adverb over here. Yesterday. Mother cooked something. Mother cooked my favorite dishes. So these are the examples of word, phrases, clauses, as well as sentences that you should know. Words, combine them together, you could have a phrase. You would combine phrases together, you could come up with, you could have a clause. And then clause combined together, you could have a sentence. Okay, some students, they are confused. What does it mean? What is the difference between phrases versus clause? For example, from the examples that we had just now, a beautiful lady, my school, the sick dog. Okay, these are examples of phrases. Phrase do not contain a subject and predicate. We don't have any subject and predicate. We have subject, but there is no predicate over here. Yeah. Phrases cannot convey a complete thought. There is no complete thought. It's just a random thing, a random noun over here. Okay, phrases cannot stand alone. So if I were to suddenly give you a beautiful lady or my school or the sick dog. You do not know what to do with this kind of information. There's nothing that you could do. Okay. Whereas for the clauses, they contain a subject and a predicate, meaning that subject, we have a subject, Aminah, the news is a subject, and predicate. Predicate meaning that you have a verb over here. Okay, what? Okay, a predicate without the object is also without the subject. Sorry, without the object. Okay, without the object is also considered as predicate. Clauses can sometimes convey a complete. Yep.
Assalamualaikum, madam. The other students want to join us. They can't join. You have to admit.
Okay, any more? Okay, thank you. Whoever just notified me, thank you very much. Okay, now. Clauses. Clauses sometimes we are going to continue. Sometimes it's convey a complete thought. For example, over here, you could say that Aminah kicked something. But you know that Aminah was kicking, all right? Kicking something. Or mother cook. Mother is was cooking something. You do not know what does it mean, but you know it is that mother was cooking, right? And then sometimes the independent clause can stand alone. For example, in the second example, the news was leaked, full stop. If you were to put them only that, the news was leaked, full stop, yes, it still convey a complete thought. Meaning that one news, I'm not sure what news it is, but it was leaked. So that is the difference between phrases as well as clause versus clause. Okay, now okay, now after we know that what is the difference between clauses as well as phrases, now we are going to look at this difference and the difference between independent as well as dependent clause, because this is needed. You need to know this in order to talk about conjunction, in order to come up with conjunction. Okay, definition of clause, like I mentioned earlier, is a group of words that contains a subject as well as a verb. Okay, and there are two kinds of clauses. There are two types of clauses. The first one is independent and second one is dependent clause. Okay, and then the short form is IC, stands for independent. Independent meaning that it could stand alone. Dependence meaning that you have to rely on something. This clause has to rely on something before like another clause in order to become a complete sentence or in order to become a complete thought. Okay, the first one, an independent clause. An independent clause, like I mentioned earlier, is a complete thought. Yeah, it's a complete thought and it could stand alone. For example, he memorized a poem last night. So if I were to give you, he memorized, full stop, is still an independent clause. And he could memorize something. We are not sure what is it, but still, if we were to say he memorized, full stop, is still a complete thought. Or Mary will read. Mary will read something, but then we do not know what are the things that she's going to, or what is the thing that she's going to read, but still we could understand that she is reading or she reads something. And second one is people enjoy. People enjoy. If I were to give you only people enjoy something, but we do not know what is it, it's still a complete thought. Okay. And if you were to include a capital letter at the very beginning of the sentence, and then you put a question mark, a period, a full stop, or a question mark at the end of it is going to become a complete sentence. Yeah, it's going to become a complete sentence. For example, over here, he memorized a poem, or Mary will read her poem at school. Or the last one is, many people enjoy poetry. These are 3 examples of complete sentence. Okay, now we are going to talk about independent clause. Independent clause is a clause that could not stand alone, and it has to rely on another clause in order to become a complete thought. If I were to give you something, you could not, a dependent clause, you could not really understand what is it about. Yeah, it cannot stand by itself. For example, over here, if I were to give you this from this, because he memorized a poem. Just because he memorized the poem is a very incomplete thought. We do not know, okay, because he memorized the poem, what is it? So we must have something before this, because we use this because he memorized the poem. Or when Mary reads her poem at school. So when Mary reads her poem at school, what happened before that? Or what happened after that? We do not know. So we have to have another clause or another sentence before this. Yeah. Since many people enjoy poetry. So the same case, we have need to have something before this clause. So these are example of dependent clauses. Okay, now what makes one clause independent and dependent clause? Okay, now if we were to give you 2 types of clauses, the first one is one clause, and the second one is the second example. It's another clauses. You should be able to identify which one is the dependent and which one is the independent. So obviously, the first one is dependent and the second one is independent, because the second one, it could stand on its own, and the first one, it could not. Okay. All right. The first one or the second one, which one is the dependent and independent? So the first one is independent, and the first one is dependent. Second one is independent. Okay. Okay, what makes a clause dependent or subordinate as a subordinate clause? So whenever you see this kind of words, who, when, why, which, that, since, because, unless, and others, so many more. I could not jot down everything here. Basically, they are dependent. So they need another clause in order for it to be understood well. Yeah. Sometimes the subordinate word is understood to be present. Okay, for example, this. We could also use pronouns in order to, over here, if you notice that we use many, what you call it as conjunction. Because, when, since, those are examples of conjunction. However, we could also use pronouns in order to indicate that it is a dependent clause. For example, over here, April, which is my favorite month, is going to be called this year. So this one, starting from which up until month, it is a dependent. It has to rely on April is going to be called this year in order to be able to make sense, right? If I were to give you this, only this, it does not make sense. What does it mean? But if I were to include everything inside here, inside April is going to be called this year, then it does make sense over here. Okay. Now the next example is the flower. Actually, the sentence is the flower was a rose. The flower was a rose. But then we want to talk more about the flower. we include this dependent clause. The flower that grew in my yard was a rose. So basically, dependent clause, at this point, you have to be able to differentiate which one is the dependent, which one is the independent clause. Yeah. Okay. Now, I'm going to ask somebody to identify for this. Okay, let's see whether. Okay. All right. Basically, these two sentences, they are quite the same. It's just one passive and as well as one is active. Now, I would like to ask somebody to identify for the first example, which one is the dependent clause, which one is the independent clause. Okay, now we are going to ask Zarif, are you here? Zarif. Zarif.
Yes, madam. Yes.
Okay. Now, you are going to read the first one, this one, and then try to identify which one is the dependent, which one is independent clause. Okay, it seems that she is not here. Perhaps something is wrong with her internet. Okay. Now, can we have Anwar? Anwar, are you here? Sheikh Anwar.
Yes, madam. Yes.
Okay. Anwar, could you read out aloud the first one, the first example, and which one is the dependent, which one is the independent clause?
Dependent memory. Oh, poem, madam. Susah
Which
tu nak
one?
buat. Alamak. Allah. Let. Jap. Let. Sabar jap. Sekali. Dependent tadi madam. Dependent. Jap. Tak ingat juga apa ni. Ni madam. Because.
Up
Betul
until?
Until. Ada until lah. Mana pisang kau. Sampai poem madam, poem.
Okay, I see. That is dependent or independent?
Dependent.
Dependent. How about the rest?
Buat apa?
How about Mike will receive extra credit? Is it dependent or independent?
Sekejap pisang lah. Aduh. Okay madam, because tu tukar independent, yang might will tu dependent.
Alright. Okay, thank you, Shay.
Alright.
Shay, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, alright. Okay, now Shay said that because he memorized a poem is independent, and Mike will receive extra credit is dependent. His answer is quite wrong because the first answer was correct. Yeah, because he memorized a poem, it should be actually a dependent clause, because we cannot just say this because he memorized a poem and then full stop. It does not work. Shay, you might want to mute your microphone. All right. Okay. Because he memorized a poem is dependent. Maksudnya dia kena bergantung kepada clause lain untuk jadikan dia sesuatu yang make sense, sesuatu yang legitimate, sesuatu yang masuk akal. Ya, Mike will receive extra credit adalah clause independent. What do we call it in Malay? Independent. Berdikari, boleh lah. Okay, might will receive extra credit, full stop. Yes, if I were to give you just those, might will receive extra credit, dia adalah ayat yang masuk akal. Ya? Tapi kalau saya kata, tiba-tiba saya tulis, kerana dia memorize a poem, kerana dia mengingati, menghafal, kerana dia menghafal pantun, tiba-tiba kerana dia menghafal pantun full stop, tak masuk akal. Tapi kalau saya kata might akan menerima kredit extra, lebihan kredit, full stop, yes, it does make sense. So usually the word because, therefore, due to, it will indicate, it is an indication that it is a dependent clause. Okay, just the first one is passive, this one example of passive, this one is an active voice. Might receive extra credit because he memorized a poem. Okay, next one. Okay, this is another example. When Mary reads her poem at school, we will applaud. This is in passive voice, ayat passive, and this is in the second one is in active voice. We will applaud when Mary reads her poem at school. So let's see. Can we have Liana Izzati, are you here, Liana?
Yes, madam.
Okay, Liana, the first one, can you help me to identify which one is the independent, which one is the dependent clause?
When sampai school tu dependent.
And then the next one?
Lepas tu we will applaud tu independent kot.
Good. Tak apa, betul dah tu. Okay, please be confident. Yes, that is true. So when Mary reads her poem at school, is the dependent. Independent, we will applaud. And suddenly, we will applaud. Yes, it does make a complete sentence. Kita ada verb. Sorry, kita ada noun. We is an example of noun. Will applaud is an example of verb. So kita ada complete sentence. We will applaud. Full stop. Yeah. Okay. Is this one is just in active voice? We will applaud. Full stop. It does make a complete sentence, meaning that it is an independent clause. Maknanya dia tidak perlu bergantung kepada ayat lain untuk menjadikan dia ayat yang masuk akal. Tapi bila saya cakap when Mary reads her poem at school, suddenly tiba-tiba saya kata without the first sentence at the very beginning, at the first clause, when Mary reads her poem at school, full stop. It does not make sense. Tak masuk akal. So apa, kita perlukan sesuatu di depan untuk memastikan ayat ini maksudnya masuk akal. Yeah, meaning that this is the dependent clause. Okay. Okay, so we are done for this. Next one, we are going to look at ELC030 conjunctions. Okay, so this is one of the things that we should cover in terms of your grammar parts. Yeah, one of the grammar parts that we need to cover is conjunction. Now that you should be able to differentiate between independent as well as dependent clause, we could proceed to this section. Yeah, the first one, what does it mean by conjunction? Basically, conjunctions, they are connecting words. They are words that connects either one equal or two equal phrases, or two equal clauses, or two equal sentences, or they are connecting words that connect to unequal level, meaning that perhaps if one negative and positive words connect together by these two, and they are connected by conjunctions. Okay, there are two types of conjunctions that you should know at this point. The first one is coordinating, as the second one is subordinating conjunction. Two types. The first one is coordinating. A second one is subordinating. You don't have to remember how many types of conjunctions that we have. No, you don't have to remember those, but you need to be able to use this conjunction at the proper time. Whenever the time comes or whenever the context is correct, you need to be able, or you should able to use this conjunction, these two types of conjunction. Okay, now the first one, coordinating. Coordinating conjunction, we use them in order to join two independent clauses. Like we have identified earlier, what does it mean by independent clauses? So coordinating conjunction, we use them to join together two independent clauses. Okay, for example, these are the common words of conjunction, coordinating conjunctions. And we know fanboys is the acronym, for is for, F is for, A is F for N nor, B but, O or, Y yet, S is so. So there are different purposes, reasons why we use all these conjunctions. For example, if we were to use at for, it's because we want to show a reason or a cause. Or if we want to use and, it is an addition to something. We want to add something to an idea. Nor, giving negative choice. But, to show contrast. Yet is also to show a contrasting idea. You want a different idea. Idea yang awak ada satu idea yang berlainan. So, kita guna contrast. Macam kita ada satu idea positif, kita nak tambah idea negatif, kita guna yet or but. Or kita ada, ataupun kita ada idea negatif, kita nak tambah idea positif. It must be contrasting. So we use but or. Or choices. You have two choices, three choices. We use or. And so is to show a result of something. Okay? For example, we have this or. For. Okay? I left earlier than usual, for I don't want to be late. I left earlier than usual, for I don't want to be late. Because of result of something, or the reason. The reason that this person left earlier because he doesn't or she doesn't want to be late. Okay, and okay, for this one, to show addition of something, nor James nor Sally is not going to school today, meaning that both James nor Sally, they are not going to go to school today. But as usual, we have but. I about to finish the gardening, but the rain was hard. Or preference, choices. Which one do you prefer, coffee or tea? Yet it wasn't a good idea, yet many watched it, to show contrasting. Okay? It wasn't a good movie, yet, but many people watched it. So James so stuck in the traffic, so he's going to be late. So is the answer. Okay. On the other hand, we also have coordinating conjunction. This is to combine an independent. Okay. So coordinating tadi dependent and dependent. Okay. Kenapa kita cakap dependent? If we were, for example, this one kan, we were to divide this into two sentences or two clauses. James was stuck in going to the James was stuck in the traffic, meaning that he's stuck in the traffic. Full stop. And then we are going to divide this into two. The first one, he is. It's not HIS. It's actually he, HEIS. So he is going to be late. Full stop. Right? These two sentences, they are supposedly they are equal. But then we were to combine them together to show that This one is a result of something, so we put a conjunction over there. And this is another example of two equal independent clause. Kalau kita nak cakap it wasn't a good movie, full stop, betul. Many watch it, it's also betul. Kita try to omit yet over there, and then kita ada dua complete sentences yang make sense. Tapi we would like to show that although it wasn't a good movie, many watch it. Many watch it. So we want to show a contrasting idea. The first one, it was negative. It wasn't a good movie, negative, a negative statement. And then many watch it is a positive statement. But then both of them, they are equally independent. They are both independent. Kalau you nak break up them into two, boleh je. Dua-dua akan make sense. For example, over here, what do you prefer? Tea, full stop, or question mark. It is still a legitimate sentence. Masuk akal je. What do you prefer? Coffee is still a legitimate question. So we want to combine them together. What do you prefer? Coffee or tea? Question mark. On the other hand, we have subordinating conjunctions. Kalau coordinating conjunction, dua clauses yang independent together, we want to join them together. But then subordinating conjunction, satu independent, satu dependent. Yeah. And these are the examples of coordinating conjunction. Subordinating conjunction. If you want to show reasons, of course, kita include as, because, since. If you were to want to show cause or effect, we use in order that, or just as simple as that. We want to use condition. If we want to show that it is a condition, if, even if, unless, or you want to show that it's a contrasting idea, although, even though, whereas. Okay, for example, he was left alone since her father died years ago, right? He was left alone, full stop. Her father died years ago. And this is, the first one, Mike cannot stand alone. Jane was left alone, full stop. Some people might say that is not a complete idea. But then, if you were to, and usually, we are going to divide that. Jane was left alone, full stop is one complete idea. But then we have since her father died years ago is dependence. We have to include since. Since her father died ago, it is considered as dependent. Okay, now if we were to, the announcement said that the game will be set on February 25th, 2017. Okay, and if we were to divide this into two, usually we are going to say that the announcement said that is the first part. The game will be set on February 25th, 2017. That is the second part. So obviously, the first one is dependent. Second one is independent. So the game will be set on February 25th, 2017 is the independent. And if we have if in order to show a condition. Yeah, you want to say that something, only if something happened, this thing will happen. So we use the conjunction if over there. We will get the highest score if we can finish our project on time. Yeah, it's not in time, it's on time. On time meaning that on the dot you submit. You submit the project. Unless we also is also an indication of condition. Okay, I won't go with you unless the rain stop. This is condition as well. And we have although. The last one we have although they were sleepy, they finished their project. Is the last example of conjunction. So we use conjunction. In conclusion, there are so many conjunctions, words and phrases that you could use in order to combine dependent and independent clauses together. dependent and dependent clauses together. It's just you have to know where and what is the context to use them. Do you understand, students?
Yes, understand.
Yeah. Everyone, you have learned everything back in your high school, and this is just a recapping for you. So meaning that, I think your process of understanding should be better at this point. Yeah. Okay. Now, let's see. Whether I have more something else for you guys. So, week 3. Okay, now I have given you guys this worksheet yesterday. All right. I hope those people who needs to print out the worksheet, you did so. All right. You have printed out, but then it's also possible that we are going to look at the worksheet on the screen. So I need you guys to identify which one is the dependent clause and which one is the dependent clause in each sentence. So which one is dependent and which one is independence? And I'm going to ask a different person for different question. The first one, can we have Aiman Shamin? Aiman, the first one. Aiman, are you here? Aiman Shamin. Oh, he's not here. All right. Now, can we have Aina Fatina? Aina Fatina. Hopefully you are not sleeping. Aina Fatina.
Yes, madam.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, madam.
All right. Okay, now,
Yeah.
can you read out aloud the first question and then try to identify which one is the dependent, which one is independent?
Read first. Okay. Because he ran, he was able to catch the bus.
Okay.
Kejap madam. Kejap
Okay, what she's yeah, okay. Now, if you have any problem with the speaker or microphone or with your surrounding, you could just send in the answer to the chat box. Okay, while Aina is figuring out the answer for this first question, we are going to ask another person for the second question. Can we have Fatin Ilyana? Fatin Ilyana. The second one, Fatin, are you here? Fatin Ilyana. Okay, Fatin Ilyana is not here, or she could not figure out her microphone. Hani Shaira, are you here?
Yes, madam.
Okay, Hanis. For the second sentence, which one is the independent? Which one is dependent? Hanis.
Until the sun sets, I will stay with you.
Okay, which one is dependent? Which one is independent?
Independent clause, I will stay with you. Independent clause, until the sun sets.
Very good, excellent. So, like what Fatin Ilyana just said, the until the sun sets is the dependent and I will stay with you is the independent. Very good. Okay, next one, number 3. Can we have Hayati Shamila, are you here?
Yes, madam.
Yeah, yours is number 3. So which one is dependent, which one is independent?
As the lights dim to dependence, I will say goodbye to independence.
Very good. And then which one is the conjunction?
Conjunction. Apa? Sekejap. Will. No.
Conjunction. We are talking about conjunction. Yeah, the person is correct. Whoever the person is. Yes, he is correct. The conjunction. Yeah, okay, thank you very much. The conjunction is S. Okay, the next one, the last one, we are going to ask Anisha. Are you here, Anisha? Anisha. So Anisha is not here, perhaps probably sleeping. Can we ask? Yeah, Ridwan, your microphone is
Oh,
on.
yes. I'm here.
Okay, Ridwan. Number 6.
How he got elected
Uh,
dependent
uh,
shows his determination. Independent.
yeah, that is correct. So how he got elected is actually underline the independent and dependent clause twice in the Isha. Okay, now, so we have one dependent and one independent. The first one is dependent and the second one is independent. All right, so that is correct. I think I'm going to finish everything. Number 7. Can we ask Azlin Afendi? Azlin, are you here?
Yes, madam.
Okay, number 7.
If the dress is one say to dependent, he
Okay.
will buy independent.
Very good. Excellent. Okay. Number 8. Amni Khairina, Putri Amni Khairina. Are you here?
Yes, madam.
Okay, number 8.
Whenever you come to visit dependent, make sure to bring food independent.
Very good. Excellent. Okay, number 9. Can we ask Aiman Bakir? Aiman Bakir. Are you here?
Yes.
Okay, number 9, Aiman. 9.
Number 9.
Uh-uh.
Don't dependent. Don't try it on.
Dependent, is it?
Yes. Independent
Okay.
unless you have the right size.
Okay, now you got it incorrect. The answer is vice versa. Okay, unless you have the right size,
Try it
full
on.
stop. It is a dependent. Dia tak boleh, it doesn't make sense if you were to say suddenly, if you were to say unless you have the right size, full stop. Okay, all right. And then if you were to say don't try it on, exclamation mark, then maknanya you melarang lah orang tu jangan pakai. Boleh je, masuk akal je.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you, Aiman Bakir. Now, next, okay. Can we have Amir Hassan? Amir?
Yes.
Yeah, the last one.
When we get snow dependent, we will go sledding independent.
Very good, excellent. Okay, now everyone, thank you. Those are the dependent as well as independent clauses. By now, you should be able to differentiate the two. Which one is independent? Which one is dependent? And at this point, you should be able to put in, like to insert which one is the, what are the conjunctions? What are the conjunctions proper to both, to the context, yeah? Kalau if you were to have this kind of sentence, you're not going to conjunction, which conjunction you are going to use. And if you were to have this kind of sentence, whether coordinating ke subordinating conjunction which would be better to be put over there. Yeah, that is the aim for our lessons today. Do you have any questions regarding the lessons? Any questions? If you have any questions, just put it in the chat box. If you are shy to ask questions, if you understood everything, put number 11 in the chat box. If you understand everything, in number 11 in the chat box. Oh, Ridwan kata faham semua. Ridwan seorang je. Okay, Hanis dah kata okay. Alright, okay. Now, let's see. I think, yeah, I have covered everything for this lesson. Your next class is on tomorrow, Tuesday. Okay, let's see whether we are going. I haven't decided whether we are going to meet online tomorrow or not. Please wait for the announcement later today. Tak tahulah I nak bagi malam ke petang sikit ke macam mana, tengok, depends on me. And then before I forget, kindly fill in the attendance form. So this is the link to attendance form, and then over there, please elaborate on what the things that you have learned. And then I guess that is all for today. I'm going to see you. I'm not sure whether I'm going to see you tomorrow or not, but yeah, we have another lesson tomorrow. Okay, thank you, class.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam.
Get the attendance. Yeah, okay, bye.
Alright.
Okay. Geng, boleh tak seorang copy link tu?
Link apa?
Link tu. Madam nak keluar belum?
Boleh.